Welcome back, everybody, to an episode of Listening to the Voices in Our Heads, where we get together and explore everybody's creative minds and their creative processes. My name is Jenna O'Malley. I am your soul writer, author of sci-fi fantasy with dashes of romance and nerdy references. Alongside the amazing stories my characters weave throughout time and space, I help other people get back to their Phoenix mode by, well, doing stuff like this podcast. We're going to actually work with somebody in the discussions that we're going to have today who I think is a Phoenix in her own right. She is an inspiration among the writers that she does outwardly seek to serve in several ways. She's a chat just like amplifier to hype people up. And of course, she's a fellow nerd. Kay!
Lots of toys, all for the little ones' Christmas joy.
Hi there. You really played me up there. Thank you.
I'm just telling the truth. Tell us a little bit about yourself.
Okay, so my name is Kay, as she said. I write fantasy and sci-fi, sometimes a bit of each together, so fantasy sci-fi. I also do some steampunk that is an absolute love of mine. So I have a book out right now called Unbound Pages that is about a paper mage in a steampunk world, and it's one of my favorite books that I've written. My books at the moment, they're in progress, but they're on reamstories.com/kparquet. You can get them on there for free if you just follow me, and they are works in progress, so they will change over time, but I'd love to hear feedback and stuff from people. So I just want to include, much like many on there, the reader in the entire process, because it's just something that it's something that I love to do. I love to hear critique and feedback. Now, do I have a thick skin? No. But I have a thick enough skin that I know when there's critique and when there's feedback and then when there's not helpful criticism. But I'm also a student at Southern New Hampshire University as a master's student in English and creative writing, which has taught me a lot over the past 2 years, I think I've been going so far. I'm also a writer outside of books, as someone that writes for blogs and other people. I'm also a ghostwriter of several nonfiction books. So that's really all about my writing career, I guess.
You write a ton of stuff and people don't even realize it.
It's because most of it's not in my name.
That's fair. I understand you're not legally allowed to talk about
Yeah, some of it's by contract, I'm bound. Yeah. So
That's true. So we have a couple of solid questions for our audience then today. Our audience, for our guests then today. Audience, you're welcome to follow along and comment as you like. So first and foremost, do you read as well as write, or do you have a secret guilty pleasure?
I think you probably know what my secret guilty pleasure is.
Are you gonna say manga?
Well, that, and there's another one too.
There's another one
Gaming.
too.
Gaming, yeah, gaming.
Gaming counts.
It's a secret dirty pleasure. I mean, not everybody knows that I game, so I don't really come outward and say, hey, I'm a gamer, unless it's in that aspect, So if you want to say that that is my dirty secret pleasure, it is. I've been gaming since my uncle introduced me to it with what was it called? Ultima Online.
Oh my gosh, you've been gaming a long time then.
Yeah, I've been gaming a really long time. So my uncle introduced me to it. He's a project manager at Microsoft. And so we had computers all over the place, and I lived with them for a while in high school. So it was just every day. The whole family would get on and we all game and play, and we played EverQuest and a bunch of other stuff. I met my husband. I'm pointing over here, like he's sitting over here, but I met my husband in EverQuest and a couple of other games, and we just hit it off. I mean, it's just a huge part of my life that I just don't talk about it outwardly. So I guess it might be a secret. I'm not sure. I don't know. But
I was going to say, it probably comes up more often in my chat boxes that you game more than your own channel, now that I think about it.
yeah. That's because you give out a lot of references that I'm like, oh, I get that. Oh my God, I get that.
Every Friday night at the start of the first sprint, 3, 2, 1, let's jam. And right in the chat, she calls out the title name of the song. Tank. Cowboy Baby. Yeah. Because every time I know what you're doing. I know. So I guess anime is another secret guilty pleasure then, because we touched on manga, but some people who like manga don't like anime, but some people who like anime don't like manga.
It's like the whole movie versus book thing, I think.
That's true.
It's just
That's
what you
exactly it.
I like both. Like I've secretly, like my husband doesn't know, but I secretly started reading his Vinland Saga anime manga books.
What?
And we've watched that show and I absolutely love it. That's one of my favorites right now. And then Attack on Titan just came out with their last episode. Did you see that? Did you
I
actually
haven't
see it?
watched.
I haven't either, so.
I haven't watched. I have politely asked very, very, very many people to not spoil it for me. But the series you've mentioned, the writing in them.
Yes. And see, that's one thing I was gonna say, that I do get a lot of inspiration through reading and stuff, though I don't read as much as you think I maybe do. I don't read as much as you think. I usually do audiobooks, podcasts, or like I get my inspiration from games and manga, anime, that type of stuff. So, or like what's that one? Tokyo Ghoul. I love the yeah, I love
Yes.
the manga. Not so crazy about the anime.
For Tokyo Ghoul, mind you, I was teaching K-12 when it was at the height of popularity here in the States, so it got spoiled to me every day. It's actually why I have my don't spoil stuff rule in part, now that I think about it. And it's one of those that I think the manga went no holds bar. They just let's go over the top of anything else you've ever seen before. And the anime said, you can't put that on TV.
Yeah, that's why I like a lot of the. Oh, speaking of that kind, did you ever watch Goblin Slayer? Is that a yes? Okay.
I'm that
Then
nerd.
You know what I mean when I say there was stuff they could not show.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I get that. Yeah.
Yeah. Big time. So, has writing always been in your life? Because it sounds like it's a large part of, and if not writing, then what else?
Well, I would say it hasn't been a large part, but that's because I really don't count the blog writing as writing. That's just work. Does that make sense?
Yeah, I mean, if I were to count my lesson plans that I've written over the years as writing, I've probably written several NaNoWriMo's worth of words. We'll put it that way. But you're right. It doesn't count as writing.
I mean,
You're
it
right.
is, but it's not, So, I mean, because with that, I can chuck out like 4,000 or 5,000 words a day for work. But when you get to the creative side of the process, it's like, okay, I got 800 words today, so I'll call that a victory. But yeah, so it's just, it actually has not really been a big part of my life. In fact, I wrote in school when I was in elementary school and middle school. I wrote all the time. And I got told I wasn't good enough by a teacher. And that really quashed me for a long time. Yeah. And then upper middle school, lower high school.
No, stop. What, huh?
Yes. I've
read her stuff. Hashtag stop believing the lies people have been telling you, woman, because it's a good first draft. It's an amazing first draft.
Thank you.
I want to beat the schnoz out of somebody now. I'm sorry.
That's okay. I had another teacher actually that I was a huge Star Trek geek, and I don't mean like STNG, Deep Space Nine. I'm talking like OG Star Trek, because
So,
that's what my
to
dad started
quote
me on.
Weird Al, when you had a choice, it was, do you like Kirk or do you like Picard?
Yes. I like them both. Oh. But I used to carry around Star Trek fanfic, and I would write Star Trek fanfic. And my science teacher knew about this because she was also a Star Trek lover. And she found out because I accidentally left one of my fanfics in the classroom that I had written, and she read it, and she's like, "What's wrong with you? This is great." She's like, "Keep going. I want to know what happens." And
I
since
had
that
my ninth
moment,
grade English teacher have something similar happen with me. Oh my God, that's amazing.
yeah, and from then it's like, oh, maybe I can do this. It just took one person.
It's like with we had recorded an episode of Soul Care Sunday together recently, and we were talking about how, like, just restart, you had more to learn. It's
Hmm.
not that you weren't good, it's just that you had more to learn, so be it.
Or that you weren't good right now. Just not right now. You might be good later, but yeah, it's okay.
It's like a sport. If you don't put in the reps and practice,
Mhm.
how can you expect to get better? Oh my
Yeah,
goodness. I'm sorry somebody said that to you. That was not fair.
that's okay. I learned
That
from
was
it, and I
You
learned,
did?
I did. I learned that not everybody's happy with what you write.
Because that's
Can't please
possibly what it
everybody.
was.
Yeah, you can't please everybody. So it's like, whatever.
So now it does kind of make sense. You said you write steampunk, but you started with Star Trek. There's some overlap a little bit.
Yeah, there is a little bit. I mean, because if you look at like one of my little short stories that I have going right now, I'm trying to flesh it out. It's called Eyes of Damocles, and
Mhm.
it's about it's a steampunk space opera basically. So but it's very much a work in progress. But it's up there on Ream if you're interested in checking it out. So,
You
but
need to
yeah,
check it out, just saying.
thank you.
I'm saying they have to. You can make it an option. I'm going to say they have to go in and at least give it a poke around or share your link.
Thank you. I appreciate the vote of confidence.
It's amazing, woman. Like, her writing is strong. And I think now that knowing your roots with Star Trek, it makes more sense. Some of the things you do in your writing too. It's like, oh yeah, because that would make sense because I've seen that ABC and other areas do the same. So
Yeah,
good
it
on
influenced
you.
me quite a bit.
It's a good influence and a solid place to start. No shame whatsoever there. So then I have to ask, what is your biggest fear and your biggest excitement as an author?
I love sharing, my worlds and my characters and everything. I'm sure as every writer does. But when I first started going to my master's degree, I dreaded critiques, dreaded them. Like I just did not even want to put my work out there because this is like, okay, so this is not just a teacher grading this, it's also my fellow peers. And that's a little different than, I mean, nothing against readers. I'm just saying it's a little different with your peers critiquing you in school than it is for readers to critique you outside of it. So, um, I guess
It's
my
like
biggest, yeah, go ahead. Sorry.
it's like getting with to equate it to our author community here. It's like handing it off to your editor, your beta reader, or your ARC team. It
Hmm.
might feel more stressful giving it to them than setting it to the public reading audience.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Um, but actually, I've gotten to the point where I actually enjoy reading the feedback because it's like, okay, it's like it's some of it may be negative, and that's fine because I learn from that and I grow from that when I do because it's like, okay, this is going to make me better as long as you're not a jerk about it, because feedback should always be constructive. It should never be negative, at least in the way of like being a jerk, you know. But that's probably one of the biggest things that scares me a little bit, is somebody just coming on and being a real big jerk about it, and then I might take it personally if I'm having a bad day or whatever, so it's just one of those things.
And as someone who has taught English for so long, I sometimes will have to forewarn people I beta read or edit for. Mind you, I'm info in, info out at this point in my career. So not letting someone aware that treat it like a machine giving you an answer back, just no emotion attached. They might perceive an emotion you didn't mean either. So for people who are beta reader, ARC readers, editors, and you've been doing it for a long time, and just fair warn people, I can sometimes be a little brash. It's not you. I'm just in the mode of info dump or info supply or whatever, so I don't lose my train of thought, what I'm trying to say while I'm helping you.
Yeah. No, I
And I think with what you were saying about peers, I think that also can apply, but you're right, there's a pressure there to not mess up. But honey, you're rocking it. Let me reassure you, you indeed are.
thank you.
I mean, if you want to hear how much she's rocking it, go check her channel. Go check her channel.
Yeah, I do have a
You really
YouTube
are.
channel. I say, yeah, I do have a YouTube channel. Go check it out.
I'm gonna say you in your sprints are one of the more zen hosts.
Really?
It's I don't know if you intended that on purpose, but when I come to your sprints, it's always I'm in a safe space to work.
Good. I'm so
Thank
glad you
you.
feel that way.
I hope other people do, because your chats are always.
Yeah, I try to keep it lighthearted and at least somewhat, you know, like you said, it just relaxing. It is a safe space. Please come and say whatever you need to say, but just keep it within the Facebook rules. That's all we ask. And enjoy time with community. I enjoy doing it. And I'm sorry to those of you that want to come to them, but it's too early. I'm really sorry. But I have to do it that way because my husband and I share an office. So that's why I do it so early. It's not because I'm an early bird, but I am an early bird. So we share that at least, right? Because I'm up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. Insomnia, yeah.
As far as that goes, there's always replays. And I often do sometimes, if I miss yours in the morning, I come through on the replay, and that's what I'm doing during lunch sometimes.
Aw.
So and it's just a calm space. So thank you for providing that for so many of us,
Of
because
course. I love the sound of rain. I'm a pluviophile. If you don't know what that means, not you in particular, I'm sure you do, but if anybody doesn't know what it means, a pluviophile means lover of rain, basically. So I grew up in Oregon quite a bit. So back when I lived there, it rained all the time. If you had an umbrella, you were a tourist. Let's just put it that way.
I used to hear that growing up as a kid here in Maryland. Is that
Oh,
really
really?
true?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah, I would, at least because I was so used to it. I would just walk through drizzle like it was nothing. I didn't care. And maybe a little bit of rain, maybe a little bit, but if it got real heavy, then I'd pull out an umbrella. But that's like
Wow.
when I used to be able to walk the dogs around the block. My husband gets an umbrella, and I'm just sitting here walking around with water on my glasses and everything because I'm just walking around in the rain with no umbrella. Whatever.
And he's like, what's going on? And you're like, this is normal.
Yeah,
We here on the East Coast, when it comes to wetter weather, get very miserable very quick. I will say that as a East Coaster born and raised. If it could stay dry in fall or dry in spring, I would be happy forever.
I would too. To be honest with you, that would be awesome.
No humidity, please. My Irish ancestors don't appreciate the humidity.
My Scottish ones don't. So yeah, I got you there.
Yeah, big time. Yours could be worse than mine just because of further north applies.
Oh, well, I didn't think of that, but yeah.
So, which works in progress are you feeling the most confident in at current?
Okay, so that would be Unbound Pages, which is the one I referenced earlier as the steampunk. Um, and it's a fantasy steampunk with elements of mystery to it. So um, that one I'm fairly confident in. That's one you've read. I'm still working on it, but that one is almost finished with the first draft at least. I know, I'm like, yes. And then Journey of Fate is a baby that I have going on right now through Nano. So that's another one that's up there. I've actually got 17 chapters, if you believe it, on Ream right now. Yeah, it's still going.
That's more
Trying
than
to
I
end it.
realized.
I'm trying to end it. It's taking me forever to end it, but it might shorten by the time it's done. So we'll see. But you know, because you have read them, and by the way, y'all out there, she's an awesome coach. Look her up. She's also an awesome writer. I've read her book. It's cool. All books, and they're awesome. So check her out.
Thank
Um,
you. Thank you.
you're welcome. You deserve it. You deserve it. Um, I have a lot to learn and grow still with these books. Obviously, they're still works in progress. But those are the two that I would say I'm the most confident in. The next one, I guess, what I would be Eyes of Damocles would be my next one. But beyond that, the other ones are probably more of just one and done short story or something like that, where it was just a writing prompt that I decided to share or something like that.
And it's also a good place to practice in that prompt existence, I think.
Hmm.
And especially since for you, you have the history of blog writing. So for authors who write blogs, I guess this could also apply to making vlogs. What advice do you have to provide?
So there are a lot of us writers that are also blog writers, journalists, retiring journalists, recovering journalists, whatever you want to call it, you know. But there are those of us that are always recovering from those types of jobs, and we call it recovering. But hi, Heather. Nice to see you, recovering journalist. And we still find we have a love and passion for the writing, but just not in the form that we were previously doing it when we get burnt out like that. So, and that's a video I'm working on with Devin Great Gambrel, by the way. We'll be collabing on that. Check out her channel. So anyway, my advice, I guess, is to make sure when you're doing writing blogs or articles or any books, make sure, please do your research and make sure it's from credible sources. Please make sure it's from credible sources, because there are so many places that are like, yeah, we're credible, blah, blah, blah. They're not credible. If it's not coming from like Google Doc Scholar or Google Scholar or something like that, it is not a credible source. Even if it's CNN, that's not really credible. So that's opinionated, and it's, you know, it's not a credible source. So just when you write, make sure you do your research, and that'll also save your editor a lot of work, and they'll appreciate you for it in the long run.
Especially if your editor has a good background in how to use that stuff and teach and knows that stuff for a living. Oh,
Yep.
yeah. I would even tell my K-12 students stuff for CNN outside of maybe checking like a place name or a date. You don't want to use stuff like
And
that.
dear God, please don't use Wikipedia.
Use the references they have at the bottom if they are 5 years or younger.
Thank you. Yes, exactly.
Yep. And I'm actually gonna have to thank you. A lot of people don't know about Google Scholar, and maybe that's a collab you and I should do for a future um live stream of like ask the editor anything how to use Google Scholar as an author. I might
Oh
want someone
goodness.
on screen with me for that one. That might be fun to do together if you've used
Oh yeah.
Google Scholar.
Oh, I use
So
it all the time because I have to. I mean, you believe it or not, my first bachelor's, well, my first degree was in forensic psychology, and yes, I am a true crime fan, big time. Uh, and I actually went to a master's degree for that too. So I write with Google Docs. I mean, Google Scholar for school, and that's where I learned to use it for actually writing. And you have to be extremely careful about what your prompts are, because I've learned a lot about prompts in the internet, SEO, stuff like that. You have to be very specific, and you have to know what you're looking for with Google Scholar, because it is a lot of very dry material where people are doing studies on stuff.
It's
So
a database of
it is a
info.
database. Yeah, pretty much. So yeah, that would be fun to get together on that. But yeah, that is a very, very important place that I always tell people, please go there to get
For
credible
sure.
sources. Yeah.
And other than sources, would there be any other suggestions you could possibly make of things that you could see from a blog that would go to vlogging or vice versa?
So I was gonna say it's important that you make sure you get correct information from credible sources, like I said, but always, 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 if you are a blog writer, an article writer, a journalist, whatever you are, always make sure you're adaptable, because everybody has different writing styles, different briefs, different brand voices, other voices that you might need to write as, like as a ghostwriter, you'd be writing as your client's voice, stuff like that. So what I guess I'm trying to say there is, if you're writing and you are a writer outside of books and you get credit for those articles that you write, treasure that. Not everybody is going to give that to you. So treasure it, because you can build your portfolio off of that. And you don't have to be fantastic. You can put in your beginning articles and what you're doing now, and they can see how you've grown over time to say, okay, this person knows how to learn and this person knows how to grow. So yeah, let's work with them, So it's like, you just, yeah. And then if you want to make sure you keep up with your industry, especially, like I'm an SME in my industry, which is social subject matter expert. So it's like, just keep up with your industry and make sure you're getting the correct facts with everything that you're doing, because you don't want to give out wrong information. Wrong information is harder to fix than correct information. So.
And in nonfiction, they don't give you the same leeway as they do in fiction, but some of what you said does apply to like running a Ream platform.
Mm-hmm.
Because I could see where people could use that as a way to like practice their own voice if they've been ghostwriting for a while, if that makes sense.
Yeah, that's pretty much what I've been doing.
Oh, really? Okay. I wasn't certain if that was the case. I didn't want to assume.
I haven't written any books outside of nonfiction ghostwriting, save for my own, that I have up on Ream right now. So that is my way of saying, you know what, it's time for me to step out in the spotlight, and it's time for me to be able to say, this is my book.
And you deserve it 3,000%, my friend. 3,000% for sure. And going back to your sprints, what are some advice then you would give to people as they are starting up YouTube channels or Authortube channels or running sprints?
Be yourself. I mean, seriously, just be yourself. Don't be afraid to be yourself, because if they don't like you, they're not going to watch you. If they do like you, they will watch you, but don't take it personally either way, Ease into the process, enjoy the process, flow with the process. I mean, don't stress yourself out over it. It's all cool in the end, no matter what you do. But one thing I would make sure you do is research those YouTube policies.
Oh, yes.
Make sure you are brushed up on those YouTube policies. Or
and
like,
they change.
yes, they do. And making sure that stuff is not copyrighted. Like I'm having issues right now where the artist is saying that I am violating copyright, which I'm not, because it came off of YouTube's music library. But what happened was they took it off the YouTube library, and now I have to change my music, which really sucks. But we found Adrian.
They're allowed to take it off the library. I didn't know that. That's not good.
So Books by Adrian, you should check him out too. Books by Adrian is going to help me out by replacing the music. So, because he's the one that made my intro outro. But yeah,
he made part of the intro and outro that if you watch this on the YouTube end, you've seen his work and heard his work. So he's amazing.
He is amazing.
And I love that you said he went back and fixed it when you found out there was an issue with the track. He stands behind his work.
Yes, he does. That was really awesome of him to do. Yeah.
So
But
thank you, Adrian.
yeah, thank you so much, Adrian. I still love it, even though it's not going to have the same music. You should hear what it's going to be now. It's going to be more dramatic.
So is this a change as of like beginning of NaNoWriMo that you're having different music?
No, unfortunately, I don't think he's done yet, so I don't know when it's
Okay.
going to come out. But yeah.
So get over to her channel, regardless of when you're listening to or watching this podcast, and see if it's out there yet. And maybe you'll get a chance to sample the old and the new. That'll be awesome. So, throwing this question in there unplanned, do you have any other content planned for your channel other than sprints in the future? Because you've done a couple of things here and there, I thought.
Well, like I said, I'm going to collab with Devin Gambrell on Burnout, and you know what the signs are, what rock bottom is for us anyway, and you know, different ways that you can help yourself not go into burnout or try to get out of burnout. So, because both of us have quite the experience with that, so we're going to be doing a collab on that. I'm going to try to put out some videos. It's just I'm so self-conscious. It's one thing to be talking to you, you know, talking back and forth, or to be doing Soul Care Sundays or something like that, which y'all should check out. Or to do Soul Care Sundays or something like that, where you're talking back and forth with people rather than just staring at the camera and talking. You know, and
Yeah.
it's different between streams and that too, because you got chat, you know, that you can react to. But when it's just you and the camera, I'm like, oh my gosh, I don't know if I can do this.
So would it be fair to say that Authortuber's looking for someone to collab with? Should be fair game to reach out and ask?
Yes, please do. I would love to.
Because one thing I know, I did ask you to join with me, and by the time this podcast gets out, it'll start be getting time for that to start. Hashtag anime taught me. I think that's gonna be a blast. It's gonna be
I
a
can't wait
blast.
for that one. Yeah, that's gonna be so much fun. I'm gonna have to brush up on some of the old anime.
How do you think I'm rewarding my sanity after NaNoWriMo, sweetheart?
Oh my gosh, I can only imagine. That would be like an anime festival, really.
I've been wanting to sit down and do a side-by-side comparison on Saint Seiya and Ronin Warriors. If you know both of those series, they're very similar.
I know the
It's
second
like
one.
how do you know Ronin?
I had a boyfriend introduce me to that one.
Your boyfriend at least gave you one good thing from the relationship. I can say that.
Yeah, that's about it.
So in my books, then you probably recognize a couple of the characters.
It's been so long since I've seen it, to be honest. I'm serious. It's been so long.
It's
Okay.
a nerdy episode for another time. We'll put it
I
that
will
way.
have to brush up on that.
Not many people have heard of it. Oh my goodness. Yes, it's if you know Ronin, let me know in the comments below. So, what role does music, because I know we both have talked about music and musicals, play in your creative process, if any?
Okay, so when I first went to college in my 20s, I did not finish college at that point. And hey, I'd like to say to everybody out there, if you're struggling right now and you think it's too late, it is not too late. Bachelor's, 44.
Congratulations.
Master's, now I'm going into a master's. It's never too late. But anyway, so I went to the college first in my 20s. Makes me feel so old. I know, it makes me feel old. Anyway, my part of my degree was a degree in opera performance, if you believe it or not. I was a mezzo soprano, and I know I will not sing. I have serious stage fright, but I loved doing it. And what was funny was every time we'd have an exam, but basically an exam was standing in front of 5 professors, all of them grading you, and you up on the stage with a pianist. And that was it. And then you sing whatever you worked on to do that for your exam. And I would always go out to my car. I would sit in the car and I would just bawl because I thought I had failed. And in fact, most of the time I got A's and B's, but I always thought I was failing at that in particular, so I didn't really make it very far in the performance side of things. But I did go on to volunteer teach a music program at a rural school in Alabama when I lived there going to school. I was going to UNA, which is the University of Northern Alabama. I almost forgot the name of it. And I taught there K through 12 for about a year and a half before I was like, this is not for me. I'm not going to do
No.
this. I'm not a teacher. This is not for me. So it's good that I figured that out though, because that was the direction I was going in. But music has always been a huge part of my life. Like I used to play so many instruments like clarinet, flute, cello, viola, piano. I used to play all these things. I can't really play them too much anymore. I mean, I probably could if I practiced, but music, since the moment I could pick up an instrument or sing, it's been in my life. That's like here at home, I have these noise canceling headphones, not these, but another pair. And my husband gets so frustrated with me because I'll have them on and I'll have music and I'm just, bopping around. And he's like, I'm talking to you.
Hello, are you?
Hello.
When I got my first pair of in-ear earbuds, that was a conversation the Cheesecake Man and I sat down and had to have of, so how do I get in touch with you when you're in another world fighting battles with vampires and stuff?
Yeah. So I actually do texting on my computer because I have an Android and you can max
Smart.
Yeah. So if he needs me, he texts me and it goes ting, and I'm like, oh, okay, I better go see what that is. But yeah, that's how he gets a hold of me. We text each other back and forth. In our
So
own house.
spouses, if you need a solution,
It's a good one. It works.
it does, and that's why I'm like, if it's not broke, go ahead and use it.
Yeah, exactly.
So as far as like writing, I take it you listen to a lot of music then, because even in your sprints, you're playing ambient sounds for us on occasion, right?
Yeah, well, no, I play it for you guys all the time, but while I'm sprinting, I've got other music going on with the rain at the same time. Because to be honest, rain makes me fall asleep.
Understood.
I love the sound of it, but it makes me fall asleep. I just get very sleepy and then I don't want to do anything. So I listen to a lot of upbeat stuff, like high energy, like I'm on YouTube Music. I use a lot of high energy, like pump up workout stuff or just bright, happy music if I'm trying to get in the groove, just to get into a mood and a headspace. And then when I get into that headspace, I change over to my mood music, which I have like a huge playlist of mood music. And like God of War is on there. I freaking love this soundtrack. It is so awesome. Oh my gosh.
I can't write a battle scene without something God of War soundtrack involved, because it literally, if you want something that has a good cadence and that you can literally type to the beat of, God of War gaming soundtracks for the win.
Yep. Actually, any of the Dark Souls.
Zelda and Dark Souls were the other two I was going to say. They have some specifically what's the name of it? Song of Storms from Ocarina of Time specifically has a really nice beat on repeat. If you can find a looped version of it, if you need something that you just get lost in the rhythm of typing to it.
I'll have to check that out.
So to all of you nerds listening in, you're welcome. Have you, as far as musicals go, is there a musical that you think is just like the best written musical of all time, but no one talks about then?
Oh God. That nobody talks about.
Or I'm not talking like Les Mis, Lion King, or dare I even now say Wicked, because it's so huge.
I love Wicked.
No
went to see it at Kennedy Center.
The Wicked.
Yeah, we went and saw it in Kennedy Center. It was pretty cool.
So lucky. I have yet to see it in person.
Really? Oh my gosh, I
haven't
can't
seen
wait for you
it.
to see it then. It's so awesome.
I think my opportunities to see it have passed because I would want to see the original voices sing it.
Okay, and see, I got to see that.
You little...
I'm sorry.
Okay.
Hey,
That
I
was a
haven't
while
gone to see.
ago.
Yeah, it was a while ago, but I want to see Hamilton, but they don't. Yeah.
They're not touring anymore. They're off tour completely now, aren't they? They ran the tour circuit, I thought.
Yeah.
Or are they still doing the UK tour circuit?
Oh, I don't know, but I know the circuit here is done, I think.
If for those of you who don't know, Broadway has a circuit it runs in stages, and the rights are released in waves to those stages. So that's what we're trying to figure out. Where is it? If you were to place it in a Marvel-like phase, it's probably in phase 3 or 4.
Mhm.
So
That makes
it's been a
sense.
while.
Yeah.
So underrated Hamilton. Well, I guess a lot of people do talk about Hamilton. Have you? I guess you've seen Avenue Q.
No. Rent. No, well, that's a big one too.
Oh, Rent is a cult classic.
Yeah, it
Talking
is.
about Rent is like talking about Fight Club. That's how cult classic it is to me.
Okay, well, I mean, that makes sense. I mean, because I don't think everybody knows about it, to be honest. It's a big one, but it's a big one among certain populations.
I don't think a lot of people know how Rent was made, and that's the
Mhm.
problem. I think it was a workshop that it was workshopped. It wasn't someone sat down and write the whole thing by themselves. They actually ran that through a series of workshops, kind of like A Chorus Line, I think, went through that as well. Now that's one people don't talk about much anymore.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like Disney came in and, here's our script, adapt it
hmm
with that production. So yeah, Rent's a good choice.
Yeah, I
Rent's a
love
good
that.
choice.
That's one of my favorite.
Who's your
I don't,
favorite
I mean,
character from Rent?
oh, you're asking me that, and I can't remember what I had lunch for today. So it's like,
The correct answer is always Angel Dumont Cunard. Come on.
sure, that one.
Sure. That just seems to be the one that everyone can remember. So
I can't remember. Go ahead. Sorry.
how does creativity keep you going when life is unkind? And we have one more question after this one before we wrap up.
Okay. Well, I mean, as you know, we've had a little rough lately, so it's been a difficult couple of years since COVID, and I think everybody's still struggling with that. To be honest, it's not just us, obviously. There have been times I felt like quitting, um, and when I feel down and out, I usually use those feelings to write with instead of not writing with them because they're they're not bad feelings. They're okay feelings to have. And sometimes if I know that I'm coming up on a scene that's going to need a lot of drama or relationship stuff or whatever, and I'm feeling that way, I'll go in and I'll write. And this, by the way, to all of you listening, is advice from Jenna. And write the dialogue first.
I can't steal that. I stole that from screenwriting, but okay, fair enough. Thank you.
Well, but you only told me that because I told you I'm taking a screenwriting class right now. So,
Fair.
but write the dialogue first, make little notes if you need to after to kind of say what's going on. And yeah, so I found it very helpful to do that, especially if I'm feeling down, because it's very easy to write out a conversation.
That's true. And then go back and add the details when you're feeling better. I didn't think about it like
Exactly.
that.
Yeah, yeah. So, and I guess I kind of think of it almost as a journal of sorts. That makes sense. I don't
That
know.
makes a lot of sense, actually.
Okay. Okay, well, good. I'm glad it makes sense. But I mean, but creativity has been part of my life forever. So it's like I don't just write, I paint, I um craft and stuff. Like stickers were a big thing for me for a long time. I made my own stickers. Yeah. And then like crafting, like I love doing earrings and all that type of stuff. So it's just whatever I can get my fingers in creativity wise. Usually if one thing isn't doing it for me, I'll just move to the next one and see which one helps. But yeah.
So
And,
you're able to kind of jump from different mediums of outlets
yeah,
and
pretty
have one
much.
feed the other.
Yep, exactly.
I love that. I love that when it works. I love that when it works. So last question, what writing advice do you have for any author wanting to publish a book?
I don't think I have much to offer on that subject because I haven't really published, being self-published or trad published. I've just mostly published ebooks online.
It counts.
I guess. Yeah, I guess it counts. But I don't have any advice on the other two. So I guess the only thing, if I had to say something, is like I've said throughout this entire thing, don't take things personally. When you're putting your books out there, everyone's opinion, likes, dislikes, whatever, it's all subjective.
They might not just be your ideal reader or listener, and that's
Exactly.
okay.
Exactly. So was it Miranda earlier talking about she had somebody give her some negative feedback, but it was because she wrote urban fantasy and people that were reading it were romance writers. So yeah, you might not be in the right genre. But just if you are, doing stuff like that, don't let one no or one bad thing ruin your entire day or week or whatever. So if you're looking especially to do things like trad publishing, I've said it a million times, I feel like, but it bears repeating that if you're not a good fit right now, it's just right now that you're not a good fit. That doesn't mean never.
And that's a perfect way to recap it around, I think. That's a solid point to recap it around on. And you mentioned Miranda Magic, who is epic awesome.
Yes.
Who else would you like to give shout outs to in our community who has possibly not already been mentioned or has been?
There's so many people.
Well, let's start at A.
Okay, well, let's start with heart breathings. Let's go there. You, of course. Sarah, of course. You can't do any of this without her. Mel, Heather, Angela, Tamara, or Tamara. How do you say her name?
I think it's Tamara.
Tamara? Okay. Diane, Jody Dean, Rhiannon, Tracy, Jen. There's so many people I could keep going and you'd be playing me off the Golden Globe stage at this point.
Can you imagine our thank you speeches when any of us become that famous? Thank you.
Oh
we will probably still be saying thank you to the Heart Breathings writing community for even then.
Yep. I would definitely have to say I would be.
And any others, because you belong to a couple of other communities outside of.
Yeah.
Yes?
So Brandy, if you know Brandy from On the Wings and Rider. Brandy is my bestie.
Whenever the three of us get in chats, we kind of like scream and turn into anime fangirl teenagers and glomp each other.
Brandy.
The two of you on a
Shirley.
stream together would be trouble.
Yes, we would be, actually. I can tell you that from experience because we talk almost every day, and I swear it's like more and more. I'm like, are you me? Is this like my sister from another mother? What's going on here?
Mel knew what she was doing when she introduced Brandy to all of us, is all I can say.
Yeah, she's awesome. And she's going to be like, why'd you call me out like that?
Because you deserve it, and stop acting like you don't.
Yeah, you do. Shirley, I guess, would be another one I would mention. She's very sweet.
From On the Wings with Writers.
On the Wings with Writers, yeah. Oh my gosh, I'm going totally blank, of course. Devin Campbell is
I'll
awesome.
call Andy, baby.
Yeah, I'll call Andy. Yeah, check that out. I don't know if you have her link, but I can give it to you too if you need it.
I've got it. That's like one of my favorite links right now.
Awesome, me too, because I'm like, here, take this link. There's a bunch of people that'll help you on here.
It's an epic resource for the month of NaNoWriMo, for sure, for sure. So if you
Oh,
are
yeah.
getting ready to finish wrapping up writing your book, check out the link in the description for All Call Indie with Devin and their critique partner put together this resource of not just beta readers, editors, proofreaders, but book cover artists, marketing help, like just it's like anything you could hope to have contact info for in the writing community across genres is at this link.
Yep.
And if they don't have the answers, they will get you on the path to getting.
Yes, they will. Devin is awesome.
You're awesome. You're awesome. So what other upcoming events and things can we look forward to? More on your Ream stories, correct?
Yeah, more on my Ream stories. I do release every 2 weeks.
Mhm.
Give me time to get things
You
done.
deserve it.
Yeah, well, I tend to write very long, verbose chapters, so I have to.
You write steampunk, it kind of fits a little bit.
As for
And then
events, I don't know of any events that I'm going to right at this second, except for maybe your live streams that I'll be doing with you. Yeah. And maybe, well, no, Devin, like I said, I'm collabing with her on the burnout thing. And then other than that, I'm just going to try to put out more shorts, if nothing else, to keep myself, out there.
And you've been rocking it so hardcore. And thank you for taking the time to sit with me today. I look forward to having you around more often, my friend.
Of course, we need to meet up for lunch again sometime.
That's the whole secret. All of you don't know. We could have possibly done this in person because we live, 2 hours away from each other physically?
Yeah, 2 hours.
I think
more like an hour and a half. It depends on traffic, to be honest.
I think we need to do an actual vlog meetup and hang out.
Oh, that would be so cool.
As a
We could just
follow-up
have
to
our
this.
phones going and
Yes.
that would be so cool.
Well, thank you, my friend, and everybody else. Thank you for joining. Take care of yourself. We know you're worth it.
Bye.
Bye.